Through our shooting experience and obviously through the blogs and everything, I personally think that what went well was the filming diaries and how we was getting everything done to the exact list of what we had planned. So it meant that we'd had a shot that we wanted to do, and we made sure we filmed that to exactly what it had on the page. And then obviously if there was any problems or if someone had another idea, we'd shoot that as well. So this led that we obviously had more footage than what we needed, but this was obviously more of a benefit rather than a limitation, because it meant that we could just go through all of the footage and then pick something else rather than having to go back and refilm again.
We found that if we was all organised and we all turned up on time, we all knew what we had to do and what we had to bring, that it made the filming go a lot smoother. We all knew our jobs, so there wasn't really too many debates, or we didn't run into too many obstacles when it came to filming and editing as well.
Through the filming diary, problems that we faced and that what went wrong was through lighting. This was because when we was shooting and when Shannon was filming us acting, the lighting in the calf or the lighting on the Shenfield Common where we was filming, when the sun was going through the clouds, it was making the lighting change. So we obviously had to wait for the lighting to be the same so that we could film, because obviously otherwise it would have been different. That was something we learned, because from the first couple of times we went out filming, we wasn't looking out for that. So we obviously, when we went back out to reshoot, we had to make sure that it was at the right lighting throughout the whole thing so it was consistent.
We found that after doing our first cut of editing our video, there was cars a lot in the background of one of the shots, and we was told that this was sort of killing the mood of the movie, so we've had to refilm that to make sure that everything is perfect.
I personally think that my costumes, the costumes that I wore to portray the teenage girl, did meet the codes and conventions. I did do a lot of research before to make sure that I was making sure that it was portraying the right age. Obviously, with wearing jeans and wearing slouchy tops, that was something that was portrayed as being a young girl. Also, wearing black skirt and a blouse was representing, obviously, like school uniforms. So that was meeting the conventions of her coming out of school and being the age of about 15 to 16. The big coat that I wore, the green coat that I wore, was obviously something else because it was representing my age. I did do a lot of research into making sure that everything that I was wearing was correct and meeting the conventions.
I think that my costume did match the thriller codes and conventions because it was all black, which obviously has connotations of mystery and evil, and also the hood gave me sort of no identity, and it was quite hard to sort of see who I was from behind.
I personally didn't find it hard or difficult to act in the character I needed to be in. It was more in the sense of just making sure I knew the feelings and emotions the character needed to be going through. That was the most difficult part, obviously, watching other trailers and watching clips and other forms of research to make sure that I was personally making the right facial expressions and the right body language in order to show that she was scared or in order to show that she was worried. That was the most difficult part in obviously making sure I'm meeting them. But apart from that, it wasn't so difficult in making their character feel worried.
I didn't find it hard to act my part because there wasn't any dialogue for my character and there was quite limited movement. The only thing that I did have to think about was my facial expressions and my body language, and I had to make sure that I was giving the right representation of my character.
In order to successfully make sure I was meeting the character's emotional feelings and codes and conventions of what she needed to be portrayed as, I looked through films. I looked through film trailers, especially obviously thriller ones. I looked at other forms of research, like looking at documentaries and just asking my mates and my team what they think I should be portrayed as. We also done a focus group, which I obviously looked at to see if I could get ideas from, and it was generally just from knowledge that I knew what she needed to be portrayed as, and it was mainly being scared and being worried and being cautious of her surroundings.
I watched a lot of films and TV programs about stalkers and similar sort of themes, and I found that a lot of the stalker characters were very sort of laid back. They was watching from a distance, and they had very stern facial expressions, and they was never laughing or smiling. It was always very serious, so I tried to make sure that I did that when playing my character.
I enjoy playing the part of the teenage girl because it let me have a range of ideas and skills that I could use on myself to portray her character. It was also easier because I am a teenage girl anyway, so it meant that I just had to be myself, exaggerate a little bit more and use the codes and conventions a little bit more. But apart from that, it was just to be myself and just to add a little bit more.
Obviously, playing a stalker is not the most glamorous part that I could play, but I found that it gave me quite a good time to focus on how I represented myself without dialogue. So that's through body language and facial expressions, and it gave me a good chance to practice.
Difficulties faced during shooting was mostly because of the lighting. Once again, it was either too bright or it was too dark. By the time we went over to the Shenfield Common to go and film, we only had about half an hour to 45 minutes of actual filming time because it got too dark too quickly, and it meant that you couldn't see us on the camera and you couldn't see the characters, you couldn't see the facial expressions, so it meant that we had to go to another day and refilm.
There were some times when we wanted angles of shots that may have been quite difficult to get, so that did involve me climbing up into a tree to get the shot of Rachel falling over.
Most of the time, as a group, we agreed on what the director was telling us to do, telling us to film and telling what I should portray. There were times during the day where obviously I was more against something than what she was, but that meant that we just shot what I wanted to do and then shot what she wanted to do, and then we could see the difference and see which one was better.
I did agree with everything that the director suggested because we found that with my part, with quite limited movement and no dialogue, there wasn't really much to debate. There was always only going to be one real thing that I could have done with the character.